Hey, Father Taylor here on a very late delinquent, like late as in you didn't turn your homework in on time, eBlast. It's Friday evening and you can see the sun coming through at different angles. Kind of weird design. Anyway, sorry, Carol. Um, so here's a quick eBlast for Friday. Uh, Last Sunday, wow, what a crazy day that was. We had the La Valley and the A team, the people who I say A team only because they're the people who always bring the service, do all the pieces. Everybody's on vacation. And so we had a very ample B team who was very able to do all things. But the craziest thing, here's the first thing that happened with our service last week. For us to sign into Zoom, for many of you, you have your password to Zoom is already that's 20 item sequence is already recorded in your computer. So when it comes up, all you do is press a button, it goes in. For some reason, the computer we use at church, you have to enter it in manually. And sometimes, depending on the font, in the middle of those 20 letters, symbols, and numbers, a capital I can look like an L or the number 1. And so after the 5th time that got entered, we got locked out of Zoom. And then it was a scramble to figure out how to get back on because there's a certain time limit. You can't even try to get back on. So we were scrambling, and some of you couldn't get on because you would have had to enter all the data manually, which is possible, but you're probably not accustomed to doing that. So that was just like a craziness. So while that's going on in one section of the church, I was in the other section of the church doing my thing, getting all set up in the front, checking all the little details of the table and the books, and doing my prayer through the church. And then at 10 of, Kitty called me and said, "You didn't answer my text." I said, "I didn't see it. What's up?" She said, "I just tested positive for COVID." So at 10 minutes before the service, 10 minutes before the service, suddenly I realized, I probably have been exposed, which set another set of sequences. I ran home, started a test, figured I couldn't do the service, made sure I put my mask on, got back into the church. And then Denise, our deacon, was waiting dutifully at the door, ready to go. And I'm trying to wave her over. She thinks my wave is me being funny and waving. She doesn't know what's going on. And then I get her, get up a little closer to her and say, "Hey, Kitty just tested positive. You're doing the whole service today. All you have to do is start at page 53, 55 and do the service." Well, it is a lot for her to suddenly unprepared, not warmed up, and all of a sudden you kind of have to run in there and do that. But you know what? It all turned out just fine. Paula played great. Denise did a great job. There's a whole other story about me having tested negative, running into the back of the back altar and then leaving real quick. But all's been good. I think, I had 2 or 3 different people say in texts, had we known, we simply could have sung some hymns, had a reading or two, and done the prayers, and we would have felt like we worshiped. It would have been great. So thank you for your flexibility. And if you were a person who is chiefly on Zoom and Facebook, sorry for all that. We definitely had some technical delays. Kitty, went through a couple of days where she was pretty sick, and she's on the road to recovery right now. And I'm thinking like another day or so, she'll be wearing a mask a lot. But we've been quarantining. If you've ever been in the rectory, it's actually not hard to do because there's 2 bathrooms. I handle the kitchen, and we've been in different bedrooms, and we've had all the doors shut. So we've been kind of passing, and she sends me texts. It's funny, you're texting and talking on the phone in your own house, but that's how we've been doing things. I've been delivering food and dropping it off, knocking on the door and running. It's kind of crazy thing, but no, it hasn't been so bad. So fortunately, praise the Lord, she's feeling better, and hopefully we'll get through this, and maybe, just maybe, we can have a kind of nice and regular Sunday. So lots of folks are on vacation. And while everybody's on vacation, your church staff has been working hard to plan and get some things going, get some really interesting events. I had an hour meeting today or more with the chief of police talking about some events we're doing. Simsbury clergy is talking about, how do we do cooperative events. But again, I want to call your attention to the event, which includes a Friday night and a Saturday. And that's coming up in September on the 23rd and Saturday the 24th. Really interesting way of bringing churches together as we understand how do we serve our culture in a day. We used to, I've been a part of a church where years ago we actually went door to door in our neighborhood and asked people how we could pray for them. Today, to do that, wouldn't be a great strategy, although we continue to pray for our neighbors. But these churches, of which there's about 5 or 6 hosts, and we'll soon be listed as one of them. But we're going to be doing these workshops, asking these important questions of areas we believe are relevant to the Farmington Valley. There's a whole host of 8 different topics, which you can see, everything from human trafficking and mental health to what does it mean to be a disciple in the community today. How can churches combine their resources and collaborate in order to bless our community? I mean, really, how can we become an asset of blessing to the community? It makes me think a lot about the ministry of Jesus when he clearly was here to proclaim something and to announce something and to invite people into it. He came to pronounce that this longing for the time when God will come and establish a time on earth like it was in the very beginning that every Jew was waiting for. He said that time has begun with him, and he demonstrated that it happened not by proving himself right and arguing with people and telling them are all wrong. He proved that by serving them, by doing acts of gracious healing for people that were not all great people of faith. 10 lepers came and begged to be healed. Only one turned back to be thankful. Jesus wasn't saying, I take back the healing. Just graciously pouring out his love, the way of love of God, demonstrating the love of God and the way that the kingdom of God works. So this, in a way, is churches coming together, churches that don't always agree on things, coming together to talk about how can we bless our communities. So I know that September 23 and 24 is a long time off, but I'm really hoping you take a look at that link and that you consider coming. For me, it will be this similar to me for you. It's a come and see. Is it really possible that we can do this? My role is going to be, in addition to being part of that planning team, of which I've made most of the meetings, my role is going to be to help lead the workshop on mental health. Mental health is a huge topic, and it's one which church folks try not to talk about. And so because of that, we suffer. What do I mean by that? Mental health covers all kinds of things. It covers just stress. There's been a mental health difficulties of slight degrees of depression and anxiety simply caused because of COVID. There are bigger emergency issues, and it's all haunted by the stigma around mental health. And some churches, the first churches I was part of as a Christian, we didn't believe that there were such things as mental health issues. We believed that simply by prayer and by trusting the Lord, people would get better. Well, then I worked in mental health for 10 years. And while I certainly prayed for those people, they may not have known I was praying for them. But while I prayed for them, tried to understand, the suffering that people go through because they don't know how to get access to really good help. And churches end up becoming places that instead of being a ways to help people cope with all kinds of mental issues, churches can become a place where people back away because we're afraid to talk about mental health issues. So, I'm looking forward to seeing the response we get and how that all comes together. Anyway, that's September 23 and 24. Tomorrow is hopefully the weather's going to be great. We're down by the pond again, And you have a group of what I call those quiet behind the scenes workers. You don't always see, but man, they coordinate stuff, they take care of business, they get those lunches together, and they get them delivered usually before I even get there. And I get there early, but usually that's all taken care of. I'm really encouraging people to come down and start to make it a regular habit that once a month you come down to be part of that community that worships down there. They're not all homeless people, and they're not always the same group every week, but there's a pretty consistent core group. Although I'm going to advise, unless you're really into having an adventure, don't come tomorrow. Tomorrow is a fabulous, it's the wildest thing I've ever seen in downtown Hartford. And that's the annual celebration of the West Indies parade. Folks of West Indian descent have the wildest floats, the loudest floats, full bands, music and guys rapping, people just, celebrating. It's kind of like if you've never been to Mardi Gras, I haven't, but that's what I picture it looks like. It is wild. And then they all come right past where we meet and they turn a corner and they begin like this whole celebration. So if you're not used to that, I would say, come next month, come in September and join us. It'll be a little more laid back, but that's a great thing to be a part of. And it's really like, it takes, I'm going to say, service starts at 2. We're pretty much done, by, even before 3. So it's less than an hour, including lunches. And it's a very grateful and thankful community right down there in the park. Anyway, so stay safe, pray for one another, keep thinking, how can I help? How is God calling me not just to be a church attender, but a church community builder? That's what we're called to do, to build one another up. And in an age where people write each other off if you disagree on something, we're called to be, even in places where we don't agree, we're called to love one another and still form a community. So it's a beautiful thing. And thank you for being a part of it. So hopefully all things being mentioned, all things going well, hopefully I will see you Sunday and we can continue to worship with less drama than last week. Okay, so bye for now.